start. So I have a few instructions for regarding today's quiz as well. So in today's quiz, you have to you have only one attempt, and you have to do it quickly and submit it. I'll send you results after the quiz, and only one attempt is there, so keep your medium, whatever you are using, cell phone or whatever. Make sure that net is there, and there are no medium issues. Okay. And secondly, it's on Google Forms, so you can use your email IDs, and enrollment number and name is compulsory. Okay. And one more thing is there, after this unit 1 is finished, this will be finished on in the next lecture. So unit 1 will be completed on Friday, I think. So on Monday, because on Friday I cannot take the quiz because it's 8:30 class, so most of you are not okay with it. So on Monday I'll take unit 1 quiz, and it would consist of 10 to 15 questions. And before even starting the lecture, I'll take quiz. Okay, that day on Monday. Um so that this quiz that is on Monday, this is extremely important, and do not miss it. Uh, so that's all. There were only two announcements you have to do. Uh,
Ma'am,
yes.
ma'am, as you told, there would be an extra lecture on SVD as well, right?
Yes. So on Friday, I'm trying to, because only one topic is left, that is stochastic gradient descent, and that will do on Friday. So if I get time, if our lecture is done early, so I'll complete that SVD part in Friday only. And if it's not done, so at that time, we'll plan some extra lecture on Friday, Saturday, on Sunday, whenever you people are okay. Okay. So we'll decide that on Friday's lecture.
मैम सिलेबस खत्म हो गया?
Unit 1. Sorry, Unit 1.
ओके ओके.
हाँ. ओके, तो स्टार्ट करते हैं. So we have seen neural networks up till now. Just wait a second. So we have seen neural networks. There are so many things in the neural networks that you can go through. So we are not able to cover everything in 2 lectures, but yes, I'll give you some more information about neural networks. You have to read more about it. Okay. So this topic is a little bit difficult, not that difficult, but yes, so you have to be focused over here. And secondly, you have to read it a lot. Okay, then only you will be able to catch up with it. So let me just wait a second, and then okay. So let's see. So we have discussed about a neural network. Today we are going to see how deep neural network works. Okay. So in a deep neural network, you know that you have multiple layers. Okay. So these are your x's, x1, x2, and x3. Let's say, for example, you have these 3 features, and you have first layer, you have second layer with 5 neurons, you have third layer, and so on. Okay. So this is a complicated neural network that we have seen only 2-layer neural network. This is a 3-layer neural network. Okay. But in the deep neural network, there are multiple layers. So first thing you have to see that when I'm talking about this layer, this is A0. This is my first A1. A2, and this will compute A3. So all the computations are done in this nodes. So when I'm saying 3, that means I'm talking 3 in square brackets. So I'm talking about third layer. Okay, this was clear. Okay, So first of all, you have to see what are the sizes and what is the representation of this network. So let's say you have 3 inputs. So I can say that X is of size 3 cross 1, X1, X2 and X3. So this is 3 cross 1. Now weight matrix. Now this neuron is dependent upon, it is taking weights from this one, this second neuron and third neuron. Okay. So similarly, so there are 3 values of weights over here. So it would be something like W1, W2 and W3, right? So there's no confusion about it. If you have any confusion wherever at any point, just ask me, okay? Then a second node is dependent again on 3 weights. Those weights are different than W1, W2 and W3, right? So it can be W4, W5 and W6. Similarly, it can be W7, W8, W9. So how many values are there? W11 and W10. So values, total number of values are, so my weight matrix size is 4 cross 3 because I have 4 number of neurons and 3 number of inputs. So always remember, whenever we are writing or talking about the size of weight matrix, it should be it should be number of neurons in that layer on x-axis and number of inputs that are coming from the previous layer, that is on the y-axis. So over here, number of neurons are 4 in this layer, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that is why number of rows are 4.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, wouldn't we consider X not here?
Yes, X naught we'll consider. It would be bias. So I have not told about bias matrix.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
We are discussing about weight matrix. I'll come over bias in next. Just see weight for now, weight matrix for now, because bias you can for this first neuron there would be one bias, that is B, or you can call it X naught is always 1, so B is basically theta naught, right? So for this there would be another B, for this there would be another V, and for this there would be another V. So bias matrix would be 4 cross 1. If you want to see it, it would be B1, B2, B3 and B4, right?
Okay.
So for this layer there are 2 matrices. First is weight matrix and second is bias matrix. Okay, of weight matrix you have 12 values, one for each neuron, one row for each neuron and column for number of inputs from the previous layer. So similarly, how many what is the size of weight matrix for this layer and what is the size of bias for this layer? Can anyone tell me? It has 5 neurons. So what is the dimension of this weight matrix?
5 cross 4.
5 cross 4, exactly. And what is the dimensions of bias matrix?
4 cross 1.
5 cross 1, because 5 neurons. So
Okay. Okay.
one bias for each and every neuron. Okay, so this is the dimension for this. Now similarly for the last layer, so what is the dimension of weight matrix for the last layer? Anyone?
1 cross 5.
1 cross 5, exactly. And what is the dimension for bias?
1 cross 1.
1 cross 1, exactly. मुझे राघव की आवाज बिल्कुल पहचान में है. ठीक है, तो हमें weights और biases की dimensions, now we know the dimensions of weights and biases. Okay, ठीक है. अब हमें क्या चेक करना है? हमें हर एक नोड पे we know weights and biases. I'll erase this part and we'll see how do we forward propagate and how do we backward propagate. I'll write it with another pen so that it is. So X is 3 cross 1 and W size is 4 cross 3, right? And bias size is 4 cross 1. Then weight is 5 cross 4 over here, and bias is 5 cross 1 over here, and weight is 1 cross 5 over here, and bias is 1 cross 1. Right. Now for whenever we are, because there is no competition on this first layer, so in first layer there are no computations. So in second layer, when we are doing computations, so what is our equation? Equation says that we calculate y by theta transpose x, or we can say that wx plus b. We multiply them. So this is w is 4 cross 3, x is 3 cross 1, and bias is 4 cross 1. Okay. So this is bias and this is 4 cross 1. ठीक है, तो the y output y or the activation would be activation is always sigma of whatever that is, activation is sigma or any function g, and then I apply this over that function, right? So it would be something like, if I am applying, let's say, sigmoid, so it would be 1 upon 1 plus e to the power minus that y that we have calculated, like that. Okay, so this, what is the size of this activation? This would be same as the size of y. So size of y here is 4 cross 1, right? If you multiply this w and x, you multiply, you get a 4 cross 1 matrix, and you are adding a 4 cross 1 matrix, that is B. So activation would be 4 cross 1. So size of activation for the layer we are talking about, that is 1. So that is, size would be 4 cross 1. Similarly, what is the size of this activation A2 over here? So what would be the size? So it would be again 5 cross 1. Why? Because 5 cross 4 multiplied by 4 cross 1, that is coming from previous layer. Activation, this A1 is coming from previous layer. So this would be multiplied, this is x basically. Now new x would be 4 cross 1, that is A1, that is coming from the previous layer. So for this layer, for the second layer, over here, I'll draw it with another pen. Over here, so if I want to calculate the A2, so this would be multiplication of W, that is 5 cross 4, and X, that is previous layer output, that is 4 cross 1, plus B, that is 5 cross 1. So overall output of this A1 is a matrix of, A1 is a matrix of, sorry, A2 is a matrix of 5 cross 1. ठीक है, तो A2 हमें पता चल गया, A1 we know. Similarly, what is the size of A3? Can someone tell me? And how to calculate it? Anybody who is a little bit confident? This would be something like W into X, that is coming from previous layer, plus bias, right? W is 1 cross 5 matrix. This A2 is 5 cross 1 matrix, and B is 1 cross 1 matrix. So what is the ultimate size of A3? It would be 1 cross 1. ठीक है? It's a little bit थोड़ा सा complicated है, but इतना भी नहीं है. Okay. अगर इसमें कोई doubt है, if you have any doubt, you can ask. This way we forward propagate, and when this A3 is A3 value is returning, this is our final output. A3 is final output, that is Y, predicted Y basically. Okay, this is how we forward propagate. Okay, so next let's move on to next part. So we have discussed about logistic regression, and we have discussed about neural networks. Okay, but there are certain things that is extremely different in logistic regression and neural network. So in logistic regression, we use sigmoid function, right? So what is sigmoid function? Sigmoid function says that 1 upon 1 e to the power minus z. Z is some value, that is fx, that is theta transpose x or wx plus b. All are the one and the same thing. So sigmoid is this function, while in neural network we don't use sigmoid. Okay, so in neural network we use tan h function, or we use ReLU function. So ReLU is extremely popular in deep learning. So we use ReLU or tan h for input and hidden layers. Input layer and hidden layers. But for output layer, we know that sigmoid function ranges from 0 to 1. So if our output is binary, for output that is binary, we can use a sigmoid function. So if my output is between 0 and 1, so then I can use sigmoid function in the output layer. So while in all the middle of the layers, in mid layers, that is hidden layers, we use tan h or ReLU. And for output layer, we use sigmoid. Why is it so? So reason for this is that, suppose I have this sigmoid function. So sigmoid function looks like this. Oh, I have drawn it extremely badly. So this is a sigmoid function, right? And tan h function looks something like this. This is a sigmoid function which is replaced. Okay, so what is the advantage of this tan h function? Tan h function, and this is a sigmoid function. So formula for sigmoid is 1 upon 1 to the power e to the power minus z, and formula for tan h is e to the power e to the power z minus e to the power minus z upon e to the power z plus e to the power minus. So this is the formula for tan h function. Now, why do we use tan h? Because it centers the data from the previous layer. So you can see that at point 0, let's say I have value from 100 to minus 100 to plus 100. So so for middle value, it will give me output as 0. That is what I want. So so anything that is coming from previous layer, it will center that those value and then pass it to next layer. So that is why we use tan h instead of sigmoid. But there is one disadvantage of tan h and sigmoid, both of these. There's one disadvantage that at this point, let's say over here. So I call it, let's say, point A, and a point over here B. So you can see at point A and point B, the slope of this function is 0. Slope is this. So whenever I have a function, so this is a slope. Change in this over this. Change in y-axis over change in x-axis, right? So at this point A, sorry, and at this point A and at this point B, so what is my slope? Slope is 0, right? So whenever, suppose I'm giving input as 100, 100 or 99 or 98, just wait a second. So whenever I'm giving input as very high value, that is 98, 99, 100, and very low value, that is minus 100, minus 99, and minus 98. So whenever I'm giving such values, so in that case, this function slope is 0. So what do you mean by slope is 0? This means in a gradient descent algorithm says that, okay, I will update my parameters by theta j minus alpha and slope, multiply by slope. So if my slope is 0, so these parameters will not get updated, right? So there's no point of using a function whose slope is 0, right? So that is why for very high values and for very low values, tan h functions does not, tan h activation function does not work well. So that is why ReLU come into picture. So ReLU is the rectified linear unit, and it is extremely popular in deep learning, and it always gives good result. Why is it so? Because it looks like this. So always have a some slope at every point. Whatever value you set, you can set it to 10,000, it will give some slope. So your gradient descent will work faster anyway. Okay, so this is the ReLU function. So that is why we use ReLU. Formula for ReLU is A is equals to max 0 comma z. So at all the values of all the negative values or whatever, any value, it will give the maximum value. So that means it's basically giving the z as output. So you always have a positive slope. So that is why we use rectify linear unit, or we call it ReLU. ठीक है. So in deep neural networks, we always use tanh, and tanh is better than sigmoid, and ReLU is better than tanh, and we use mostly ReLU for all the input layers, and for output layer we can use sigmoid, and we can use any linear function that we want as output, depending upon what is my output. If it is between 0 and 1, I'll use sigmoid. Okay. So so this was the difference between logistic and neural network, or you can say that deep neural network. Okay. Another difference is in logistic regression, we set input weights or input parameters to 0. We set theta 1 to 0, we set theta 2 to 0. While in neural networks, we never do that. In neural network, we don't set weights to 0. While why we do that? Because you can see the weight matrix that I'm giving as input, it is same for first layer. So if I'm setting weights to 0, all the weights to same, weight 1 to 0, weight 2 to 0. So we never do that. This is a wrong choice of weights because in first layer, for all the neurons, same weights are going as input. So that is why we select random weights. Random weights. So we always use random function to initialize the weights. Okay. Initialization. ठीक है. So these two are main important differences in logistic and deep neural networks. Chalo, let's move on to another part that is also very important. अभी if you have any doubts जो भी अभी तक discuss हुआ है उसमें, you can ask.
Ma'am,
Yes.
won't we face the problem of exploding gradient with ReLU?
हाँ, एक्सप्लोडिंग और वैनिशिंग ग्रेडियंट प्रॉब्लम आती है, और वो हम अभी डिस्कस करेंगे, अभी इस वाले यूनिट में नहीं है. जब हम व्हेन वी आर डिस्कसिंग सीक्वेंशियल मॉडल्स, तो जब हम LSTMs RNN डिस्कस करेंगे, देन आई विल टेल यू व्हाट इज एक्सप्लोडिंग एंड व्हाट इज वैनिशिंग ग्रेडियंट. ठीक है. और कोई प्रॉब्लम? ठीक है, तो लेट्स मूव ऑन. अब वी हैव अ डेटा सेट. What we do is we train our model for 60%, let's say, for the data, for 60% data, we train our model. Now we don't know whether our model is working perfectly or not. So that is why we do cross validation or development. So we divide our data set, whole data set, into further sets. That is 60%, let's say, I have used for training, and for training my model, I'll use the 60% of the data set, and I will say that okay, my model is giving this much percentage accuracy on the training data. So somebody will say, okay, so let's play with this data and play with the certain models. We do cross validation. This is also called development set. And development set, it is basically for checking that whether my the model that I have built is working fine or not. So I'll keep repeating it multiple times. So multiple times I'll train my model over this development set or test set. Okay. Now third set is the test set. So sometimes we call development set as test set, because so test set is whose class labels are not known. So whenever we want to predict, let's say we have a set of images, okay, and we have a new input image, and we are training our model on this. We know the class labels that yes, it is a cat, it is a dog, it is a cat. But for this new image, we don't know whether it is a cat or a dog. So this is my test data. So for all these images for which I have no output, these are all my test data. So test data is basically unknown samples. But in real world, when you work with a data set, so you have data. So you assume certain portion from your data and you say that, okay, it is your test set. ठीक है. तो basically that is development set, not a test set. So generally what we do is, suppose we have a data, so we take 80% of it as training and rest 20% as development set. And this is sometimes some people call this set as test set also, but this is a wrong choice of saying. But we say, okay, fine, this is training set and this is my testing set. We do it like this because we don't have testing set while we are working with the model. Test set comes at some later stage. कि आपने वो model, you have implemented that model at some platform, and when somebody is using it, at that time a test set comes into picture. Okay, so generally we call dev set as a test set. So we keep on repeating your calculations with computations with the development set, and we call it as test set. Okay, so we take the final answer of development set as the final prediction. Okay, then you have evaluation metrics. So 4 evaluation metrics are there. There are multiple of them. So I'm going to discuss these 4 because these 4 are in your syllabus. Okay, so so you have this shows you have some positive examples and some negative examples. Okay, so this is a negative example. These are all negative, and these are all positive examples. Okay. So you have positive examples and you have negative examples in your data, or you can say that you have some 0 classes and some 1 classes, one and the same thing, right? So you have this data. Now your output prediction model, you have 0 and you have 1. So output prediction model can predict either 0 or it can predict 1. So similarly, you have 1 as your class label. It can predict either 0 or it can predict 1. So if it is a 0 and your model is predicted 0, this is correct. And if it is a 1 and your model is predicting 1, this is correct. So this is called accuracy. So accuracy is how many zeros and ones are correctly classified. Okay, now there are 4 terms: true positive, false positive, true negative, and false negative. So you can see that one of them is true positive, one of them is true negative, one of them is false negative, and false positive. Okay, which one is which? So first thing is, whenever you have 0 and it is classifying as 0, this is called true positive. Or you can consider 1. So this is called true positive. Whenever you have 1 and it is classifying as 1, here it is. So this is plus and this is classified as plus. All the values over here, these are classified as plus. So this was plus and classified as plus, so I'll call it true positive. Okay, and this was all minuses and they were classified as negative, so I will call it as true negative. So whichever values are correctly classified, that are called as true values, that is true positives and true negative. Now this is false positive. False positive means they were falsely classified as positive, but they were actually negative. So they were the negative examples but classified as positive. So this is a false positive, and this is a false negative, which means that they were actually positive but classified as negatives. Okay, so these were actually positive and classified as negative. These were actually negatives but classified as positive. So there are 4 terms with this, associated with this. So what is precision? So precision is out of all the predicted values, how many were correctly predicted. So out of predicted values, these were the predicted values, and how many were correct? This left portion was correct, which says that right. So these are all predicted values from the model, and these were correct, these were wrong. So out of total predictions, this is the total predictions. Out of total predictions, how many are correctly predicted? Correctly predicted positive, that is. ठीक है. Recall is out of total number of values that you have given as input, how many relevant items are selected. So how many, this is correctly predicted as positive out of total positive as well as negative values. Out of total positive and negative that you have, how many were correctly predicted. Okay, so this was positive and negative examples that you have, and this means positive and negative examples that were predicted. So out of predicted values, how much were correctly predicted, and out of total positive and negatives, how much were correctly predicted. Okay, so this is precision and this is recall. So this I have already told that there are 4 things. True positive means if it was positive and predicted positive, so true positive. It was negative and predicted negative, it is true negative. False positive is falsely classified as positive, but it was negative. So it was negative, but falsely classified as positive. Okay, so this was actually positive, but falsely classified as negative. Okay, and accuracy is always this one, true positive, true negative, divide by sum of all 4. So this was it for today. This was simple. Then F score you can calculate by 2 into precision, recall, by precision and recall. These are the formulas for precision and recall. So this was it. So if you have any questions, so we have 10 minutes left. Let's do the assignment. That is very quick. I'll share the